Ladies and gentlemen, Delhi decides on the 5th of February and the verdict is on the 8th of February. That's what the Election Commission announced. So one Saturday, that's the 1st of February, is the budget. Then midweek, Wednesday, is the polling. And the next Saturday, 7 days later after the budget, 8th of February, is when Delhi ballot will be counted, result day for Delhi. 70 seats, 3 parties, 1 war. That's what we're calling it here. SOPs, Sheesh Mahal, and also the integrity, Kattar Imandar or Kattar Beiman. The allegations around corruption, the allegations around office for profit, and more importantly, the fall or shift away from the real Aam Aadmi. These are the ones that challenge the Aam Aadmi party. On the other hand, absolute disarray, factionalism, no clear leader, and perhaps lack of intent are some aspects which plague the Congress party. The BJP also fights factionalism. It's not been able to break the entire domain or the bastion of Delhi, the Delhi Vidhan Sabha, since the late 1990s. And they continue to struggle even after 10 clear years and into the third term of Prime Minister Narendra Modi led NDA, led by the BJP. All of these aspects come to the fore that a party like the BJP, which is the largest political party in the world, has not been able to really establish itself in this domain, in this dominion, this union territory, now the state of Delhi, which is a joint administration like Puducherry. So, plenty of questions. Will the people of Delhi decide clearly, as decisively as they did the last time around? Let's try and understand and spotlight some of the aspects of the Delhi conversation. Viksit Delhi, that's what the BJP is saying. Phir aayenge Kejriwal is what the Aam Aadmi party is saying. Well, who will dominate the Delhi narrative? That's the big question. Will these SOPs, Revdi pe charcha is what the AAP said. Sheesh Mahal is the jab back at Arvind Kejriwal for betraying the trust of the people of Delhi. Viksit Delhi. And the Prime Minister has called the Aam Aadmi party as Aapada. They are always creating crisis situations. Aapada, they are crisis for Delhi. Now, these are questions which remain. Can the Congress show actually some aspect of reclaiming their footprint in Delhi, and also show to the India alliance that they remain a force to reckon with and they are the fulcrum? Of course, the reminder, 5th of February, the coverage, the fastest updates on polling day will be right here on your election news headquarters, CNN-News18, and coverage like no other channel on Super Saturday, February the 8th. But most importantly, as we move on to the talking point around the poll date announcement, it's a request to the voter of Delhi. More than 1.5 crore registered voters, 71 lakh plus women, and those numbers are growing. Moment these Revdis are being announced, many more are wanting to register themselves as voters in the hope that they will get something. But the question is, go out and vote. The 83 lakh plus voters, male voters, go out and vote. Cast your ballot. Let there be an overwhelming turnout, a record turnout of Delhi voters, and let this be a clear mandate. But a mandate for those who have a plan, not those who will take something from your right pocket and put something into your left and say, see, we have given you something. Are they going to be smart enough about that? More importantly, are these going to be genuine votes? That's the biggest contentious issue. The bogus voter issue. And of course, Sheesh Mahal. Aam Aadmi Party Chief Minister Atishi has alleged 10,500 new voters were added in a seat of 1 lakh voters between 15th of December and 2nd of Jan. 5.77% voters have been removed between the 29th of November and the 2nd of Jan. Adding 10% and removing 5.77% could alter the entire election outcome is what she has alleged. Another allegation, 4,283 deletion applications filed by just 84 individuals. So what's going on? A huge detailed clarification was offered by the Election Commissioner, CEC, before announcing the dates. Now the Delhi battle has intensified between BJP and AAP on this entire bogus voter issue ahead of the finale. On the 29th of December, AAP accused BJP of voter fraud. BJP said AAP is involved in electoral fraud. On the 30th of December, AAP claimed BJP is indulging in mass voter deletion. BJP said it was the AAP who was enrolling fake voters. On the 2nd of January, BJP alleged fraud voter entries by the AAP. Kejriwal said BJP is deleting names of Purvanchalis, quote unquote. On the 5th of January, AAP alleged BJP is manipulating the voter list. The BJP said AAP is actually threatening poll officials, and this is something which the CEC also mentioned, that the Delhi State Election Commission officials have reached out to the Delhi police seeking protection, saying we fear for our life because we are getting threats. Now, this is an allegation that's being made. Chief Election Commissioner, while speaking on the issue, said no deletion can actually be done. Due process is followed rigorously in deletions or additions to voter lists, and there is no room for any manipulation. The big question we are asking is this the charge of voter deletion? This entire charge, nothing but a delusion, a diversionary tactic, just to try and create a certain amount of perception among the voter and among the people that some aji-baji is happening. By who? That remains a question. But are there bogus votes? There is a CNN-News18 investigation right on the anvil. We'll get that to you soon here on the coverage. But first, let's listen into the reactions and the debate today.
जो भी क्लेम्स एंड ऑब्जेक्शंस आते हैं वो हाथ की हाथ हर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के साथ में शेयर किए जाते हैं. कोई डिलीशन हो ही नहीं सकता जब तक उसके पीछे फॉर्म 7 ना हो. यहां तक कि अगर किसी की डेथ हो गई है उसका भी डेथ सर्टिफिकेट हम अपने रिकॉर्ड में लगा के बीएलओ के माध्यम से रखते हैं. अगर किसी का डिलीशन इसके अतिरिक्त होना है शिफ्टिंग में, उसको नोटिस देते हैं, वेबसाइट पे डालते हैं, क्लेम्स एंड ऑब्जेक्शंस का टाइम देते हैं. हमने मेहनत करके इस पूरी प्रक्रिया का एक चार्ट बनाया.
So, unless there is a Form 7, there cannot be a deletion. There is prior intimation, there is information put on the website. So, voter names cannot be deleted off the cuff. There has to be information given. That's what the CEC has turned around and said. Now, like I said, CNN-News18 is right in the thick of a in-depth investigation of what's happening, what's going on ground. We'll bring that to you over the next 2 or 3 days. And that's a promise here. But let's dive into this debate. Is this deletion, voter deletion, a delusion, or is it actually happening? And is due process being followed? Or is there some aji-baji? Radhika Khera, spokesperson of the BJP with us. Ravi Srivastava, political analyst, one of the founder members of the Aam Aadmi Party with us. Not sure if he's still an active member of the AAP though. But Ravi Srivastava ji, this voter inclusion, voter deletion. CEC spent at least 35 minutes out of his 45 minutes press conference on addressing issues around EVM and bogus voting and bogus voters. Your thoughts?
I think CEC explained a lot that no deletion can take place without the Form 7 in record. All the entire process was explained. But here the issue is that if a complaint has been made by none other than the constitutional authority, that is the Chief Minister of Delhi, Ms. Atishi, so it should be thoroughly investigated. Then what is wrong in it? I mean, asking for something which are numbers running into a percentage of the total voter turnout, I mean 1.55 crore or some 4283 complaints and 584 individuals. I heard Mr. Sanjay Singh or Manish Sisodia saying that out of 84, some 52 are not even traceable, that who has made that application for the deletion of the voters. So this is a very suspicious scenario, and one should not leave any chance. See, elections are the soul of the democracy. And in democracy, without fairness, transparency, and absolutely the election commission should be like the Caesar's wife, above board integrity for each and every action they do. So they have to explain to these people who are asking for it. As far as a DEO is concerned.
But interestingly, the same claim here on record has been made by BJP leaders of Delhi, that the Aam Aadmi Party is including illegal immigrants into their voter IDs. They are deliberately adding people who are actually not denizens of Delhi into the voter list under the garb of shoring up their own voter base. Now, is that a serious allegation or not? Or will you say that aap kahe to sahi, BJP kahe to galat?
Not at all. They're both sides. Both have made a complaint and the counter complaint. Both should be thoroughly investigated. That what is the truth in it.
So, and if there is some ajibaji that's happening, should those names be deleted or not?
That is the job of the election
Correct.
commission.
And when they delete those names, people turn around and say, "Arey, naam delete kar diya." So then, should there be politics around it or not?
Explain kar dijiye. Where is the problem? Explain to the people. They are those who are coming with the complaints. Explain to them that this is the record. These are the Form 17 we have got. Form 7 we have got with us, and this is how we have done it. If people have died, there are the death certificates available on record with us. So that's what I'm saying, that there should be process.
But that's exactly what the CEC said today, but still it's being raised.
The
point is, what is the reason for a party that has got 62 out of 70 seats to talk about 3,000-4,000 bogus voters here or there, or to try and help shore up? Is there a reason why this should be done? Radhika Khera, is there an issue of bogus voters in Delhi? And who's involved in it?
You know, the Aam Aadmi Party stands exposed. Their political fraud stands exposed, which is why now they are making these claims and they are crying and saying that ye kar diya, wo kar diya, votes delete kar diye. They have failed to live up to the promises that they gave to the people of Delhi, whether it was saaf hawa, saaf pani, 24 hours electricity, good roads, good education, good healthcare facilities. They have failed the people of Delhi in every aspect. And Arvind Kejriwal saw it when he was arrested in jail, that the people of Delhi have seen through his false promises. And also the fact has come to light that how corrupt the Aam Aadmi government has been. Now to cover that up, they need votes of the Rohingyas who are settled here and those people who have illegally entered India. Because they know कि Delhi वाले तो अब जनता तो वोट देने वाली नहीं है. They have failed on all the promises. So they tried to get these votes, and when those names were exposed, our party leaders went to many places that were showing 50-50 voters on one address, a Hindu family of only 4 members which had 50 members listed, and they didn't know those 50 people. So there were many instances when those frauds were exposed. Then we saw Sanjay Singh doing a drama of his wife's name being deleted. What turned out in the end, those 2 women who had written a letter to remove her name, there was an internal family drama and an internal conflict because of which that was happening. So they have been exposed time and again. They need to bank on the vote of the Rohingyas, and like you said, was aptly put that few thousand votes for a government which has done such good work, and their leaders go on saying कि क्या आपने कभी ऐसा आदमी देखा है जो अपने काम के नाम पर वोट मांगता है? Well, then they should not bother for a few thousand votes. A few thousand votes in the entire 70 seats is not going to make much of a difference. No. But the problem is the fact that their illegal votes have been caught. The fake votes that they had created in the last 10 years, they have been caught and exposed, and which is why now they are crying, because ना fake vote पढ़ पाएंगे, असली काम के नाम पे vote आएगा नहीं, because report is zero अंडा. Everybody knows that.
Radhika ji, Delhi is a unique combination, because 50% power is with those who are elected and 50% power is with those who are selected. So it is, you can't blame just those who are elected. Those who are selected are also to blame for saaf pani, saaf hawa, sahi bijli, and also sadak and traffic. So and that administration is with the BJP, or BJP led, BJP controlled. The LG is a center appointee, and somewhere the Delhi police comes under the aegis of the Home Ministry. Salaries are paid by the Home Ministry. Absolutely. So if there has got to be saaf hawa, the top politicians, including the Prime Minister of the country, lives in Delhi, and if there is no saaf hawa, that's a reflection on everybody, not just the Aam Aadmi Party. The other thing is Rohingyas. If the votes of the Rohingyas are going to make a difference to the fortunes of the BJP, then we have a serious problem, because these Rohingya are also coming via those borders which are supposed to be secured by elements who are under the aegis of the central government. अब अगर आपको पता है कि दिल्ली में रोहिंग्या बसे हैं, तो कैसे बसे? नहीं बसने चाहिए.
मैं बताती हूँ ये कैसे बसे. आपने भी वो वीडियो देखा होगा. इनके अमानतुल्लाह खान हैं, आम आदमी पार्टी के नेता, जो साफ तौर से ये बात कह रहे हैं, ये लोग 11-11 हज़ार रुपए हम लोगों ने आपको यहाँ बसाने का काम किया है और सब कुछ आपके लिए सुविधाएं देने का काम किया है. So the claim that who has got these people and यहाँ पे बसाया गया, and yes, there are issues on the border of West Bengal where the Rohingyas are being treated like guests कि आओ गले से लगा के बुलाया जा रहा है. As big as an issue it is, and it is our responsibility at the borders, we see, we are working with the Assam government of ensuring that this comes to a stop. But the West Bengal government also has certain powers over there, and we have to work in tandem with them, but they do not cooperate. They also welcome the Rohingyas, which is why we've seen the Rohingyas in Jharkhand, and they played an important role. How the Congress leader Ghulam Ahmad Mir went on to say in Jharkhand and promised the Rohingyas कि हम आपको भी 350 रुपए का सिलेंडर देंगे. So how the India Alliance parties play with the votes of the Rohingyas is very clear. Now, having said that, you talked about the selected and elected government. Now, the same Arvind Kejriwal, every time, if you saw the 15-year rule of Sheila Dikshit, in which 5 years Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji was the Prime Minister, she never once said that the LG is not letting me work. She never once said anything. They are the India Alliance partners, the same alliance partners whose candidate Arvind Kejriwal voted for 8 months back. And their leaders Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi voted for Arvind Kejriwal's candidate. So that means he gave a vote to the work that was done by Sheila Dikshit also, na, that time. So now, and when he says, now see, they're a very confused part. Sheila Dikshit never said that we never let them work. So we have not stopped anybody from working. You have to go niyat saaf honi chahiye. And second thing, when they talk about law and order, okay, there have been instances where there have been issues of law and order in some instances, but twice we have won the Lok Sabha elections. And every time Arvind Kejriwal used to question Sheila Dikshit on law and order, and she used to say, what should I do? The law and order is not in my hand. He used to say, then resign. Do we need such a helpless CM? It is on record. His tweet still exists. So then he should also, he's already resigned, so he should not say that he was a helpless CM. That is hence proved. Secondly, now the people of Delhi will vote for a double engine sarkar, because every time for their own misdoings and wrongdoings, they are blaming the LG, they are blaming the centre. So now people have said, ठीक है, आपने कहा था हमें MCD में लेकर आए, हम pollution ठीक कर देंगे, हम साफ सफाई रखेंगे. MCD में मौका दे दिया आम आदमी पार्टी को. What was the result? Delhi has become a garbage dump. They had promised lots of things. The people of Delhi agreed with them. But now the people of Delhi have seen through the false promises of the man who swore on his children's head and promised that he will not enter politics, will not take a house, will not take a car. So all these promises, Wade and these things have come out in the open, and people of Delhi will vote for a double engine sarkar and everything will be fine.
Delhi is such a big khichdi and a raita. Now even if the BJP is elected in the Vidhan Sabha, you will say we have double engine, but Paiya is with AAP because MCD is with Aam Aadmi Party. Then you will say ground pe kaam nahi ho raha hai. At all points in time, there is somebody to point a finger out and say we couldn't do it. My point is, where is statehood in your manifesto, of the BJP's manifesto? BJP, if my memory serves me right, has been one of the most ardent vocal champions of giving statehood to Delhi. Now, that aspect is not being spoken of at all. So that's brushed under the carpet. Yes, Ravi Srivastav. Aam Aadmi Party, is it battling this politics of, is it losing the battle of perception? They came from nowhere. In a decade, stitched a story that should go into the political lexicon as a case study in itself. Students of political history should see how a political party came from nothing and became such a big thing that it's present in two big regions or areas, one full state of Punjab and also Delhi. And 3 terms, thrice he's been elected, Arvind Kejriwal as a leader. But rather than his graph going up in the minds of the people, is it coming down, especially because of what happened at Sheesh Mahal? And also on him reneging on certain things that he claimed that he will do, but he has not done yet. Cleaning the Yamuna for one thing, providing free Wi-Fi at bus stops, the other thing. There are a few more, but I don't want to get there. Yeah.
I fully agree with you that many promises are unfulfilled, and people have definitely right to question that. But my point here is that BJP is completely rattled this time. Why? These people had an opportunity for full 10 years to pin down the Aam Aadmi Party. They have the center in the government. They have got LG in their hand. They fraudulently did all thing to bring out the ordinance and take away the powers of the Delhi administration, etc., etc. They did all kind of mischief to bring down the Aam Aadmi Party. Instead of that, they would have worked in Delhi. They got 3 opportunities. They have 3 times a member parliament. All 7 got elected. They could have built up more hospitals than Aam Aadmi Party. They could have built up more classrooms than Aam Aadmi Party. They could have built up better roads. They could have put hand in hand with Aam Aadmi Party to clean the Yamuna and see to it that the Yamuna froth is lesser than the Delhi froth. So they had an opportunity and show to the people, look, we have worked for you. We have done this for you. So elect us this time. Instead,
Sir,
what you did?
rapid rail में what was the reaction of the आम आदमी पार्टी हमने देखा. उधर ऐसा होगा कि काम करेगी, सेंटर काम करेगी और हलवा कोई और खा के जाएगा. What does the आम आदमी पार्टी do? आपने किसने बोला? मैंने did I ask or any voter of Delhi ask Mr. Arvind Kejriwal to commit 500 schools in Delhi? He did, right? How many has he built?
No.
Less than 30. Less than 30. Did we ask, did the voter of Delhi ask, you promise free Wi-Fi at all bus stops? How many bus stops have free Wi-Fi in Delhi, sir? Sir, did we ask or did he say that he will change the entire bus system and all buses in Delhi will only be electric buses? No bus which will be polluting will be flying in Delhi. How many buses have been changed, sir? He said हम आपकी सड़कें साफ कर देंगे जी. आपकी सड़कों में कोई we will create the best waste management system in the country in Delhi. दुनिया से बाहर से टेक्नोलॉजी लाके करेंगे. Sir, best waste management system, you see, you want to go to the dumps down that road, you would see what kind of management and what kind of waste is there. Now my point is, sir, nobody put a gun to Mr. Kejriwal's head and asked him to say all of this. He said it. He committed to the people of Delhi. Has he lived up to that commitment?
Anand,
now, is the voter of Delhi going to look कि मेरा झुग्गी क्लस्टर मेरे लिए पक्का घर बना है कि उसका टॉयलेट का उस पे गोल्डन प्लेट चढ़ा है? Will he see कि मेरे घर पे मेरे सर पे छत है और will they see that उसके फ्लश पे इटालियन मार्बल है? And more importantly, दिल्ली वालों की नहीं रही. Outsiders are coming. Huge influx. Did Mr. Kejriwal raise it as a national security issue? Did he take to the streets? Did he do a dharna to say, I don't want illegals in my city, in my state?
Unfortunately, all questions are being asked to Arvind Kejriwal only.
Because, sir, he is the 3-time chief minister seeking a 4th mandate.
And he'll be getting the 4th mandate as well because
so that's why the questions will be asked of Mr. Kejriwal,
yes,
sir. He's the one who's got 62 out of 70 seats and he said har seat pe Kejriwal.
He gave the free electricity.
He is the one, sir. He is the one who the courts found prima facie some involvement in the liquor scam and he's out on bail on charges of corruption, sir.
It is all fake.
Sir, you are saying it is fake does not matter till he is acquitted by the courts, sir. Till he is acquitted by the courts, we will go by what the courts have prima facie observed, and the courts have granted him bail because bail is the right, jail is not the norm, bail is the norm.
Observations are not the order, and he will be acquitted well before 2047.
Till he is acquitted, he is an accused, sir. With due respect, pardon, sir, he was the one who rose from India against corruption, and he is out on bail on charges of corruption. My point is, sir, he is the one who said that he will make sure that there is no patriot like him. And yet today, sir, Delhi is wrought with illegals, and he is never took to the streets to rid Delhi of illegals. These are points, sir.
That is not his job. That is the job of the central government. What for are they there?
It was not his job to climb on a ladder and cut a bijli ka tar. He did it.
Yes, to demonstrate to the people.
Correct. So the same thing he should have demonstrated to the people of Delhi, that Delhi will not tolerate illegals because its chief minister stands for the people of Delhi and the people of Bharat and not for illegals. He's not done it, sir, and they are all part of the voter list. They are being normalized. That's the accusation.
What is more important for the people of Delhi? He is doing that. He's helping the senior citizens.
Radhika Khera is a citizen of Delhi. Radhika Khera, is illegals not an issue for you? Would you not have wanted your chief minister to get on the dharra and cause a headache to the central home ministry and the home minister of the country to ensure that Delhi is rid of illegals? Delhi first, Bharat next.
Absolutely, it's an issue. Absolutely, it's an issue, but like I said, it's not an issue for Aam Aadmi Party because they bank on those votes. Having said that, Mr. Ravi here was talking about what have we done for Delhi. Well, let me tell him. Then he said that we should have done something for Delhi and said and worked hand in hand. Well, we've done a lot for Delhi. The 2 lakh crore infra budget has increased to 11 lakh crores. We have given Delhi's first Namo Bharat corridor. We have also Prime Minister inaugurated 12,200 crore ki yojana just in the last couple of days. We have given multi-story state-of-the-art housing for our poor, which you have a problem with because you always want, you are aligned with the party जो हमेशा गरीब को गरीब रखना चाहती है. What have you done for the Jhuggi clusters? Nothing. Did you make those houses for them? Instead of making a house for the poor, you ended up making a sheesh mahal for yourself with the best marble and most expensive marble. The curtains and the toilet seats in that house would put any multi-millionaire to shame, the kind of money that has been spent even in the kitchen of that house. Having said that, if you remember, Arvind Kejriwal had also promised कि मैं यमुना को इतना साफ कर दूंगा कि वहां पे आप तैर सकेंगे. In a very recent interview, he said कि यमुना साफ नहीं करनी, उससे वोट नहीं मिलेगा. So when they do not want to clean, अब वोट कैसे नहीं मिलेगा? आपने pollution रखना दिल्ली में. Every time छठ पूजा comes, sir, I did not speak in between. Have the courtesy. We are only two people.
We have run out of
courtesy.
No,
Anand ji, please.
We have run out of time today. These arguments will
and
continue.
And where is the Lokpal? They came to power riding on the Lokpal. Where is the Lokpal?
There are a lot of questions each can ask. I have respectfully only one question to ask. Do you need a gold-plated faucet and a gold-plated toilet to relieve yourself? Especially when you said you are okay with a muffler and a Wagoner and a Renault pen. That's to the Aam Aadmi Party. And to the BJP. What are you doing about the Delhi BJP? You fixed everything. But fix the Delhi BJP first and get a clear leadership there. How many presidents in the last 4 years itself? After every election, the president changes. So if you can't fix Delhi BJP, how will you fix Delhi, ma'am? I leave it at that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, grooming gangs uproar in the UK. It's the ex-founder or owner, Elon Musk, beg your pardon, ex-owner Elon Musk, who's put Keir Starmer in a spot. Stay with us.
MDH का किचन.
Canada's Justin Trudeau said he would step down as Prime Minister in the coming months after nearly a decade in power, bowing to pressure as polls showed his party would be crushed in the next election. But what happens now? Trudeau said he would stay on both as Prime Minister and Liberal leader until the party picks a new one to take it into the next election. In Canada, unlike the process in other countries, party leaders are chosen by special leadership conventions that can take months to organize. The next federal election in Canada must take place before the end of October. Trudeau also announced on Monday he prorogued or suspended Parliament until March 24th. This means opposition parties who had planned to bring down his minority government as soon as they could will now have to wait until sometime in May. If all the opposition parties vote together on a non-confidence motion, the Liberals will be defeated and a new election called. If the Liberals are still in power by Parliament's scheduled summer break on June 20th, an election would be held as scheduled. The Liberals could also be brought down over the annual budget, most likely to come in April. When Trudeau took over the leadership in 2013, the contest lasted 5 months. A nightmare scenario for the Liberals is that the party takes so long to choose a new leader that Trudeau will still be in charge when the next election is called. That means it's likely the party will announce a shortened contest designed to get the next leader in office as soon as possible. Former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney, former Governor of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England, could run to replace Trudeau alongside a number of current cabinet ministers. Polls strongly indicate that the Liberals will lose the election, no matter who the leader is. Canada's Justin Trudeau said he would step down as Prime Minister in the coming months after nearly a decade in power, bowing to pressure as polls showed his party would be crushed in the next election. But what happens now? Trudeau said he would stay on both as Prime Minister and Liberal leader until the party picks a new one to take it into the next election. In Canada, unlike the process in other countries, party leaders are chosen by special leadership conventions that can take months to organize. The next federal election in Canada must take place before the end of October. Trudeau also announced on Monday he prorogued or suspended Parliament until March 24th. This means opposition parties who had planned to bring down his minority government as soon as they could will now have to wait until sometime in May. If all the opposition parties vote together on a non-confidence motion, the Liberals will be defeated and a new election called. If the Liberals are still in power by Parliament's scheduled summer break on June 20th, an election would be held as scheduled. The Liberals could also be brought down over the annual budget, most likely to come in April. When Trudeau took over the leadership in 2013, the contest lasted 5 months. A nightmare scenario for the Liberals is that the party takes so long to choose a new leader that Trudeau will still be in charge when the next election is called. That means it's likely the party will announce a shortened contest designed to get the next leader in office as soon as possible. Former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney, former Governor of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England, could run to replace Trudeau alongside a number of current cabinet ministers. Polls strongly indicate that the Liberals will lose the election, no matter who the leader is. Canada's Justin Trudeau said he would step down as Prime Minister in the coming months after nearly a decade in power, bowing to pressure as polls showed his party would be crushed in the next election. But what happens now? Trudeau said he would stay on both as Prime Minister and Liberal leader until the party picks a new one to take it into the next election. In Canada, unlike the process in other countries, party leaders are chosen by special leadership conventions that can take months to organize. The next federal election in Canada must take place before the end of October. Trudeau also announced on Monday he prorogued or suspended Parliament until March 24th. This means opposition parties who had planned to bring down his minority government as soon as they could will now have to wait until sometime in May. If all the opposition parties vote together on a non-confidence motion, the Liberals will be defeated and a new election called. If the Liberals are still in power by Parliament's scheduled summer break on June 20th, an election would be held as scheduled. The Liberals could also be brought down over the annual budget, most likely to come in April. When Trudeau took over the leadership in 2013, the contest lasted 5 months. A nightmare scenario for the Liberals is...
Elon Musk is going after UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer over the Pakistan grooming gangs scandal. Now, why did the uproar start? The criticism began after Safeguarding Minister Jess Phillips formally denied requests for the Home Office to lead a public inquiry into child sexual exploitation and grooming in Oldham. Ms. Phillips said she recognized the, quote, strength of feeling, unquote, for a Home Office-led inquiry, but she told the local council the government will not intervene. I believe it is for Oldham Council alone to decide the commission an inquiry into child sexual exploitation locally rather than for the government to intervene, she said. In response to Ms. Phillips' decision, Mr. Musk, a key member of the US President-elect Donald Trump's inner circle, said, quote, she deserves to be in prison, unquote. Mr. Musk also shared a post asking whether King Charles should dissolve Parliament and order a general election for the sake of security. Of Britain, Musk has accused Starmer of being complicit in the rape of Britain for failing to thwart grooming gangs while he was the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP. Starmer staunchly defended his record as head of the DPP on Monday, saying he changed the entire approach that had stopped victims from being heard and that he had the highest number of child sexual abuse cases being prosecuted on record. Starmer said that those that are spreading lies and misinformation are as far and wide as possible, are not interested in victims, they are interested in themselves. He also said, we've seen this playbook many times, whipping up of intimidation and threats of violence, hoping that the media will amplify it. Now, who are these grooming gangs? People who sexually exploit vulnerables. Victims of these gangs are underage girls. Over 1,000 kids have been abused in Shropshire's Telford. Psychological manipulation process was used. Majority of these accused were Pak origin men. The 2014 IICSE report says nearly 1,400 kids subjected to sexual abuse. The report on cases in Rotterdam from 1997 to 2013 Perpetrators were mostly Pakistan-origin men. Girls aged 11 years were trafficked across North England. In 2023, the former Suella Braverman, former UK Home Secretary, Suella Braverman said vulnerable white English girls trapped, drugged and raped. Most of the accused are British Pakistani men. Child sexual abuse is one of the most horrific crimes. It devastates victims. Their childhood has been robbed. The despicable abusers must be brought to justice. These grooming gang members should not be able to hide. Culprits must face the full force of law for their crimes. Let's go across to Pandit Satish K. Sharma, Adit Kothari, founding member of the Indic Society, Professor Scott Lucas, international affairs expert, all with us. Namaste. Good evening. Thank you, gentlemen. Pandit Satish K. Sharma, associated with the British Board for Dharmic Scholars also. I remember very clearly when CNN-News18 touched upon this grooming gangs issue and the entire report that was tabled. Shocking details that came to the fore. But Pandit Satish Sharma, is there any merit to what Elon Musk is claiming?
Namaskar ji, Jai Shri Ram. There is a great deal of merit. As perhaps you will have recalled, it was 7 years ago when I organised a parliamentary meeting in the House of Commons on the abuse of our Hindu and Sikh girls by Pakistani Muslim men. And ever since that time, we have been trying to raise this issue. And what has, I think, now been clear is something we discovered at that time, and that is that the British establishment, the civil service, the state, the judiciary and the political class do not want to deal with this issue. It has been almost like the nation has become like an echo chamber with the same poor victims running from pillar to post trying to seek justice, and they have not found that justice within this nation. What has happened now, though, the one change, is that this issue has been internationalized. The voice of those victims, and that's the voice that's recorded in multiple court documents now. We're not talking about reports from politicians, we're not talking about think tanks. We're talking about acts of torture and atrocities recorded in court papers. That has now gone international. And so the international scrutiny has now actually given voice to these poor young victims, where in the past it was absent. So purely and solely from a moral ground, there is absolutely no reason why somebody of Elon Musk's stature or anybody else who has a heart and a sense of compassion for these vulnerable white girls should speak. The advantage that he has is a voice that rings across the globe. And this voice he has given to these girls whose voice has been stifled for so long. And we are now seeing the British state on trial. We are beginning to see the judiciary and the politicians scrutinized on an international platform like they have never been before. And the karmic aspect to this is that Britain itself as a state has always assumed the moral high ground and preached standards to the whole world. And yet all of a sudden, they are now being revealed as being the world's greatest hypocrites. This is the reality. And I have nothing except appreciation for what Elon Musk has done. One last point to note is that the catalyst for this was the fact that the Labour Party, in the run-up to the elections in the United States, sent 100 people, 100 members of the Labour Party to America to support the Kamala Harris campaign. So they have absolutely no grounds whatsoever to be objecting to the voice from overseas on the grounds that it's interfering with their internal political electoral processes. Kadma, I'm afraid, is coming home to roost.
Professor Lucas?
Well, I think it's probably important to start with the facts. Let us start with the broad fact, which is that Elon Musk's interest here is not in grooming gangs. Elon Musk's intention here is to latch on to some type of issue to try to destabilize the UK government, and indeed to try to overthrow it, just as Elon Musk in the past few weeks has been trying to latch on to an issue to get rid of the German government. And doing so, Elon Musk has supported hard right figures to do so. In the case of Germany, supporting the AfD. In the case of Britain, supporting the Reform Party, and the convicted, effectively far-right figure, Tommy Robinson. Now, what are the facts here? And they're important to get it. And that is, there are serious issues here with abuse of underage women by a number of men across communities. The largest share of grooming gangs in the UK is actually amongst white men. Those do not get as much attention. Yes, I'm sorry, gentlemen, I see you shaking your heads, but if you look at Home Office statistics in both all the way up to 2023, more than 40% of grooming gangs involved white men, 42%. I've got the statistics right in front of me. Here's another fact which is very important, and that is, far from ignoring the issue, Keir Starmer, as the Director of Public Prosecutions between 2009 and 2013, tried to act on serious deficiencies in the system by making it easier for victims to be able to tell their stories and understood by police who quite often have ignored them. And it is true that the number of convictions of men for abuse of underage women significantly increased under Starmer. And here's a very important fact. There has not been a cover-up or a failure of inquiries. There is a pending national inquiry called the Jay Inquiry, which made 20 recommendations in 2022 to be acted upon to collect data which would help victims, to register public figures who would be under a mandate to have to report suspicions of crime. The Conservative government did not act on those recommendations while it was still in office. It is incumbent on the Labour government, and they in fact made an announcement with relationship to yesterday, to act upon this. So when Elon Musk went after Jess Phillips, the Labour minister, and effectively libeled her, he did so on a false basis. What Jess Phillips said to Oldham Council was, the national inquiry is still salient. It should be acted upon. If you wish to have another local inquiry, and there have been several in Oldham, you are absolutely right to do so. I, for one, am not willing to be led by the nose by Elon Musk through misinformation and disinformation, when, as I'm sure my panelists will agree, that to give justice to victims from the past and to prevent these abuses in the future is the absolute priority. And Elon Musk is not doing anything to help that. If anything, he is feeding the division, the ethnic and the racial division in the UK by the way he is going about this, especially with his support of someone like Tommy Robinson.
Well, who he supports can be one aspect. The aspect of grooming gangs and some data that you have shown upon or you have quoted has been either challenged or perhaps not agreed by the other panelists. Adit Kothari, your thoughts? But one point is that 2009 to 2013, and it's taken 9 years for the report to come out in 2022. We are in 2024. Wonder what these people, these brutes who are part of this grooming gang, where they are today, and will they be ever, or will they escape the noose of the law? And have they transferred this habit and this deadly habit to other youngsters, other men who are taking on this, and are there still grooming gangs who are brutalizing young ones and targeting them in UK? So when is it that there is going to be a semblance of justice? There is just a certain level of cognition that's come, and this data is out there. But where is the action? And is it going to put an end to this in the UK? That's the other question. Yes, Adit.
So, I endorse Professor Lucas's point when he says that, more needs to be done with regards to protecting the victims, etc., etc. Nobody would disagree with that particular stance. But I think where Prime Minister Starmer basically missed an opportunity yet again to unite the country, and, by deflecting the blame on Musk, he's basically shooting the messenger. It's very convenient to hide behind data, and that is what everybody seems to be doing. By saying that 88% of the crime against children are being perpetrated by men of white skin is exactly hiding behind that particular methodology, because within that particular crime there are broad segments which include holding child pornography, for instance, a crime which Hugh Edwards was basically let go of. Hugh Edwards was the BBC presenter. He was let go with a community sentence for basically holding child pornography, which is, it's shocking that, somebody gets let off for that kind of a crime, whereas somebody for a contempt of court gets 20 months of solitary confinement. So, that should give us a bit of perspective into the two-tier sentencing. The fact of the matter is, majority of the grooming gang, the rape gangs that are operational, are basically being institutionalized and run by men of Pakistani descent, and that is the fact. You can look at the data, you can scare through the data, and that is going to be point and point. Can you imagine if 1,400 Muslim girls had been subjected to this sort of barbarism? Do we for once believe that Keir Starmer would have said that anybody who calls for a public inquiry are basically fascists and far right protesters? Absolutely not. So racism has become this sort of a high crime, and where repeated barbaric crimes of 11-year-olds and 13-year-olds have become diminished crimes, and that is what the Labour Party has essentially done. They've made the problem seems to be that politicians seem to be wearing this badge of Islamophobia.
I'm sorry,
is something that we.
How is that? How has that happened? No, I need a specific example. How have Pakistani grooming gangs in 2024 been protected by the Labour government? No, I'm asking.
The professor should be stopped.
A specific example.
Please wait. It's a problem of politicians in general who are hiding behind.
I need a specific case. A specific case. In Rotherham, we had inquiries to try to remedy what happened. In Oldham, we have had inquiries to try to remedy what happened. In Telford, we've had inquiries to try to remedy what happened. We have 20 recommendations.
Professor Lucas, in Rotterdam, 1 out of every 73 Pakistani men are somehow or the other connected to grooming gangs. So either they are willingly part of it, or they are part of the whole sort of the caucus.
It is being investigated. The whole point is it is being investigated. In other words, the J inquiry specifically made the point that you were making right now.
Now, Professor Lucas, let him finish. You made a point. Let him make his point. He didn't heckle you. He heard you out. Yeah.
I see a massive problem with Professor Jay's report as well, because it's particularly looking at only 7 towns instead of 50, where there have been connections established between the 50 towns. So that in itself is a case in point that the whole study, and some of these studies also take these public inquiry they take a lot of time to be executed. They take anywhere between 2 to 3 years. So in the short term, all of these perpetrators are basically being let loose of in the garb of political correctness. So that political correctness needs to be kicked into the dustbin, and people need to demonstrate a little bit of spine and say that this is a problem. It's just not a societal problem, but it's a problem where there are people, there are politicians, there are media, there are journalists, there are civil servants who are all complicit in covering up these crimes, and that needs to be called out.
Yeah, fair point.
Academics.
Yeah, I think everybody would agree that anybody who's involved somewhere or the other to hush up the matter despite knowing it, or involved in supporting these gangs or being part of it, all of them are equally culpable. Yes, Pandit Satish Sharma.
Anandji, whenever there is a case of child abuse, those who study this phenomenon identify 3 elements to it. There's the victim, there's a perpetrator, and then there is an enabler. And the purpose of the enabler is to protect the perpetrator. This is an established process. And one of the ways in which a perpetrator can be protected is by people presenting facts which are intended to obfuscate, which are intended to protect the perpetrator. And let me give you 2 very clear examples. Within 48 hours of the Southport horror, Keir Starmer stood up on a public platform and announced that the fear really was emerging from the actions of the far right. There were no facts behind that. He knew the identity of the perpetrator. He concealed it. The second aspect is, now that you have raised the trope of the far right, and there is no evidence of the far right, one thing that has been also noticed is that he has now raised the spectre of Asians. He stood up in front of an audience and said that these crimes are perpetrated by Asians. Factually, that's correct, but the world knows that Asians covers 50 nations, 4.8 billion people, and so there is nothing contributed by tarring the whole of the Asian continent as potentially in people's minds being somehow associated with this. So what we are seeing very clearly is the abuse of facts, is the presentation and the generalization specifically along the same lines that enablers use when they want to protect perpetrators. So please don't take the moral high ground and assume that you're the only one who can appropriate facts. We have been a part of this process for the last 30 years.
That's a misrepresentation of what's said. Is to call people who are originate from a particular nation in Asia and generalize them as Asians, is that fair or unfair?
There's a misrepresentation.
Correct. Now, if a politician,
I'm answering. Yeah, there's a very important misrepresentation.
If a politician, so if a politician says Asians rather than saying Pak origin, so that's a population less than one of the states in our country, that is India, and mapping it and saying 4.8 billion Asians. Now, is that fair or unfair? And if such a politician has done that, has that politician done it, without knowing, unknowingly, or has done it knowingly, and should that person be seen as an enabler or someone who's acting against such perpetrators? You would actually figure out not just the nationality, but also the place of origin of that person if you want to single such elements out and to ensure that they are separate from the rest of the crowd rather than generalize them. I have to wind up because I have to wind up. We will take this conversation forward, but I've run out of time. I've really run out of time here on this block. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, Home Minister Amit Shah launches Bharat Poll portal. Bharat's Intel game changer, is that the one? Plus another story. The BSF pushes back Bangladesh border guard personnel at the border and they are helped by the locals. These are the locals who are standing and chanting Bharat Mata Ki Jai and pushing out the illegals and saying, we want those borders there. There's fencing done. Stay with us.
Co-powered by Canada's Justin Trudeau said he would step down as Prime Minister in the coming months after nearly a decade in power, bowing to pressure as polls showed his party would be crushed in the next election. But what happens now? Trudeau said he would stay on both as Prime Minister and Liberal leader until the party picks a new one to take it into the next election. In Canada, unlike the process in other countries, party leaders are chosen by special leadership conventions that can take months to organize. The next federal election in Canada must take place before the end of October. Trudeau also announced on Monday he prorogued or suspended Parliament until March 24th. This means opposition parties who had planned to bring down his minority government as soon as they could will now have to wait until sometime in May. If all the opposition parties vote together on a non-confidence motion, the Liberals will be defeated and a new election called. If the Liberals are still in power by Parliament's scheduled summer break on June 20th, an election would be held as scheduled. The Liberals could also be brought down over the annual budget, most likely to come in April. When Trudeau took over the leadership in 2013, the contest lasted 5 months. A nightmare scenario for the Liberals is that the party takes so long to choose a new leader that Trudeau will still be in charge when the next election is called. That means it's likely the party will announce a shortened contest designed to get the next leader in office as soon as possible. Former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney, former Governor of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England, could run to replace Trudeau alongside a number of current cabinet ministers. Polls strongly indicate that the Liberals will lose the election, no matter who the leader is. Canada's Justin Trudeau said he would step down as Prime Minister in the coming months after nearly a decade in power, bowing to pressure as polls showed his party would be crushed in the next election. But what happens now? Trudeau said he would stay on both as Prime Minister and Liberal leader until the party picks a new one to take it into the next election. In Canada, unlike the process in other countries, party leaders are chosen by special leadership conventions that can take months to organize. The next federal election in Canada must take place before the end of October. Trudeau also announced on Monday he prorogued or suspended Parliament until March 24th. This means opposition parties who had planned to bring down his minority government as soon as they could will now have to wait until sometime in May. If all the opposition parties vote together on a non-confidence motion, the Liberals will be defeated and a new election called. If the Liberals are still in power by Parliament's scheduled summer break on June 20th, an election would be held as scheduled. The Liberals could also be brought down over the annual budget, most likely to come in April. When Trudeau took over the leadership in 2013, the contest lasted 5 months. A nightmare scenario for the Liberals is that the party takes so long to choose a new leader that Trudeau will still be in charge when the next election is called. That means it's likely the party will announce a shortened contest designed to get the next leader in office as soon as possible. Former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney, former Governor of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England, could run to replace Trudeau alongside a number of current cabinet ministers. Polls strongly indicate that the Liberals will lose the election, no matter who the leader is. Canada's Justin Trudeau said he would step down as Prime Minister in the coming months after nearly a decade in power, bowing to pressure as polls showed his party would be crushed in the next election. But what happens now? Trudeau said he would stay on both as Prime Minister and Liberal leader until the party picks a new one to take it into the next election. In Canada, unlike the process in other countries, party leaders are chosen by special leadership conventions that can take months to organize. The next federal election in Canada must take place before the end of October. Trudeau also announced on Monday he prorogued or suspended Parliament until March 24th. This means opposition parties who had planned to bring down his minority government as soon as they could will now have to wait until sometime in May. If all the opposition parties vote together on a non-confidence motion, the Liberals will be defeated and a new election called. If the Liberals are still in power by Parliament's scheduled summer break on June 20th, an election would be held as scheduled. The Liberals could also be brought down over the annual budget, most likely to come in April. When Trudeau took over the leadership in 2013, the contest lasted 5 months. A nightmare scenario for the Liberals is that the party takes so long to choose a new leader that Trudeau will still be in charge when the next election is called. That means it's likely the party will announce a shortened contest designed to get the next leader in office as soon as possible. Former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney, former Governor of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England, could run to replace Trudeau alongside a number of current cabinet ministers. Polls strongly indicate that the Liberals will lose the election, no matter who the leader is.
Union Home Minister and Minister of Cooperation Shri Amit Shah has inaugurated the Bharat Pol portal developed by the CBI in New Delhi. While launching the portal, Home Minister Amit Shah said that under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the launch of Bharat Pol, India is now ushering into a new era of international investigations. Bharat Pol and the 3 new criminal laws will serve as a strong mechanism to catch fugitives who flee abroad. Through the trial in absentia provision in the 3 criminal laws, cases can be conducted in the absence of fugitives and sentences can be awarded. The face-off between the border guard Bangladesh BGB personnel as they tried to intervene during the border fencing process in the Bakhrabad village post Sukhdevpur on the India-Bangladesh border in Bengal. Now the locals and the BSF scared them off and made them realize that no nuisance will be tolerated when it comes to national security. Chants of Bharat Mata Ki Jai, Vande Mataram and Jai Shri Ram were reverberating when the BGB personnel were forced to back off. This entire video was posted by BJP leader Shuvendu Adhikari. Kamalika joins us with more details. Kamalika, there are more footage, so the locals clearly not wanting illegals to enter, backing the BSF.
Absolutely. Vaishnav Nagar, Sukhdevpur, this is an incident which has happened yesterday. Today the fencing work has already started right now. The situation is peaceful. But the fact is, yesterday suddenly the BGB came and they said that the Indian border security forces, they can't do this work. And they were claiming a lot of things. That's what we are getting it from the sources. But after that, there was a strong retaliation from the Indian side. Indian villagers also, they were with the BSF while there were some protests from the other side. There was a little bit of tension there. Now things are okay, but definitely the BSF has beefed up the security there and alert also.
Thank you for that update, Kamalika. With that, it's a wrap of this edition of The Right Stand. Brass Tacks with Zaka right now.
Green Lamb Laminates